Project 571, genetically engineered vampire created to destroy evil.
What do you want?
We need your help to kill a vampire.
Malleus Maleficario. It was written by a witch. The first witch. Titania.
That was a little snippet from The Witch's Hammer, the first film I ever solo directed, and it's just been remastered and re-released on Amazon. So if you like witches and vampires, then please do check it out. Anyway, let's get on with this week's episode.
You have to have a bulletproof front for when your movie comes out. Everything is wonderful, everything is successful, everything is fantastic. That bulletproof front will make any collaborators assume that you are making money.
Hi, Jim here, and you're listening to the Honest Filmmaker podcast. So, as a bit of a special episode, I thought we'd talk about hard truths, and I'm joined by Pat Higgins. Hi, Pat.
Hello, Jim.
Hello there. So we're going to give you, between us, the 10 hard truths every micro-budget filmmaker needs to hear, and these are from painful experience. I've been making films, 20 years, I guess I could say. What about you, Pat? Where are you in the timescale?
I think you pipped me just about, didn't you, in terms of getting the first movie out. So it's more than 20 years for both of us, man.
Yes, yeah. More than 20 years for both of us. I don't know, how many features are you on now? Do you keep count?
I think six individual features officially, as a writer and director, a whole bunch more as like a script doctor or a writer alone or whatever, and 2 anthologies, obviously, that we collaborated on.
Yes.
And there's another anthology that I wrote for the other year. So it's a messy number.
Yeah, I'm the same. I can't really count. I kind of look back at the last 2, and that's all I remember. And then there's a load of ones in the past. So we've been there. We've made a ton of mistakes.
Yes.
Together sometimes. Yeah. So these are our hard truths. So I'll let you kick off. So give me your first hard truth.
My first hard truth for our wonderful audience is that making a movie of any kind is no longer enough to guarantee finding any audience whatsoever.
Very true. So talk to me about how you found that out yourself.
I think that initially, and I know we've sort of mentioned this before when we've been chatting about stuff, back in the very, very early aughts, shall we say, the challenge was making something. It was absolutely, just creating a thing. And if you created a thing, you were more or less guaranteed that you'd get some kind of audience. It might be an audience of curiosity. It might be because you tapped into a niche, but you were kind of guaranteed if you made it. I mean, the year we made our first movie, there were only 16 British horror movies that were released that year. And so we picked up a really good distribution deal just on the basis of scarcity of product. So then having made that distribution deal, that then found an audience. Whether the audience liked it or not, who knows? But a lot of people ended up watching it. Sometimes, unwillingly, they ended up watching it just because of the novelty of a film existing almost within that niche. If only 16 British horror movies get made that year, and you are a horror person, you're probably going to watch most, if not all, of the 16 that get made that year. But if 2,000 get made that year, that is no longer something that's on the cards. So it could be that you've created something fantastic, but if you don't have that funnel to automatically lead you to an audience, which did exist. I mean, people talk about the democratization of filmmaking and things getting easier, which they really have. I mean, it is a piece of piss to create something that's an hour and a half long that's moving image nowadays, whether that's, you filming your cat eating or whatever it is, it's still, you can make a thing. And so people go, really, you've made a 90-minute long video, that in itself is not exciting. Whereas at that point, it kind of was. So you are no longer guaranteed anybody giving a damn. Nobody's going to be as excited about your film as you are, because that kind of comes along with it. But there is the chance now that out of the other percentage of the population who may well dig it, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with the movie that you created, but it won't inherently find anybody just through the nature of the system, which it used to. Even though you've now got more routes to potentially reach more sets of eyeballs, whether or not any of those eyeballs will tune into it.
Yeah, very true. And the sad part of that story, I guess, is, or for me, was both of us probably came into that making films just at the moment when digital kicked off, all the products started. So that first couple of years in Cannes, like you say, people were, oh, you've got a horror movie. Let me see the trailer. Yeah, I'm interested. Here's an offer. Here's an offer. Here's an offer. 2 or 3 years later, leave us with a trailer. We'll take a look at it. We've got hundreds of them, and now it's absolutely saturated. And what you were saying about you being the only person who cares about your film, super important. You've got to care about your film, and you can't be too self-depreciating, which I know sometimes we both
Absolutely.
do. And yeah, the first film I made, there was a guide, a physically printed, I don't know, it's like a UK screen guide or something, and we were one of the pages alongside what got, like 28 days later or whatever. It was like our little horror film. Whereas now you're just lost. You're lost at sea unless you take control and find an audience.
That is very true.
Okay, so
What's your one? I'm looking forward to yours now. I know what mine are. I'm not interested in them.
Yeah. So
this is all we haven't exchanged notes. So
unrehearsed.
if mine are just Jim's one step later, then you'll have to forgive us.
The same
for that.
one. Yeah. No, my first one was going to be how awful your first cut is going to be when you've shot your film. So you shoot your film, you're there. I don't know about you, but usually I take a couple of weeks off after shooting a film. I remember all those amazing takes when this happened and that happened, and you sit down 2 weeks later, you start cutting it together, you're feeling it, you're vibing, then you watch it back as a whole film and you're like, this is absolute crap.
Yeah.
And it hits you, and I get this even on short form content now, is that first edit, it's not supposed to be good. And it's a little bit like script writing as well. It's not supposed to be good. It's just supposed to show you what's wrong with it so that you can then go in and fix it. So if you're making a feature film or a short film, because I know this happens on short films, do your first edit, and I'd probably say don't show that first edit to anyone. Just keep it to yourself.
If you can avoid watching it yourself, that
exactly.
would be
Don't
even
watch
better.
it, delete it, start getting
Edit it together, walk away.
Yeah. Watch it. Maybe show it to somebody, like your producer. I just mean don't show it kind of further than the kind of core team, and then you'll start to tweak it, you'll start to get it better, and it will eventually become a film. But I haven't met anybody who's done their first edit and gone, wow, that's amazing. So that was my hard truth, was that your first cut is going to absolutely suck.
I think for probably all of my first 4 movies, I think I did that first cut and just sat there and went, I haven't got a film.
Yeah.
I have no film. And man, it's brutal.
Yeah, it is. But then I guess you've got to also be brutal about what you then do. Is the action you then take is having a cold, hard look at it, and like say, get somebody you trust or somebody in the inner circle to watch it and be super honest about things that do work and things that don't. And the whole kill your darlings, take your favorite bit out. Sometimes that has to happen. Sometimes it's a scene where you, like I say, you've watched this amazing performance, you love what the actress did, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work in the whole scheme of the film. It just needs to end up in the bin. So it is a sobering experience, but everybody goes through it.
That's absolutely true. I always, I don't know if this will work for other contexts. It's just one of those things to sometimes take the sting out of losing one of your favorite scenes. If you can find a way to use a micro element of it, whether it's as B-roll, whether it's as whatever, just as so that in your heart
it's in the film,
some trace of it, and that 3 days you spent trying to get it wasn't wasted. It wasn't wasted because now there's a 2-second cutaway of that ceiling or whatever the hell it was. I like to do that just to go, no, that day wasn't wasted, and that saves.
Yes, good idea. Every film I make now will have a dream sequence where I just cut all the stuff that was a ball ache to film.
There you go. Well, I mean, that was the posited solution, wasn't it? When Little Shop of Horrors, when they had to axe that ending that they'd spent millions and millions and millions on, and it just bummed the audience out. Their first reaction on it was, no, make it a dream sequence. Just reframe it, make it, because otherwise we lose all that work. And I absolutely understand that instinct. I really do.
Yes. Yeah. Good instinct. Okay, give me your next one. What we got next?
Okay. My next next one is cultural context has collapsed completely, and that's a lot of C's in one thing. So your early work will follow you around forever, often appearing to be your latest work. Your wins of yesterday may be redefined as losses by the culture of today. Which is a really wanky way of writing down that your early stuff will suck and it won't go away. But not. I think that thing about losses, wins getting redefined as losses, I found you kind of think no one can take this away from it. It's like the first, as I say, our first movie, the fact that that came out on DVD, wide release on DVD, it was in every blockbuster, and I was like, this is all I ever wanted, and no matter what, I'll have achieved that. But then as the culture moves on, Blockbuster doesn't exist anymore. Nobody, and so all of that contextual stuff of, look, this little movie that's got the opening scene shot in my garden and all that sort of thing, it not only got released, it got reviewed in Empire, it got, and all that sort of stuff. All of that disappears because the shops that it was in are no longer there. The format it was on is no longer there. All that's left is a movie that looks like a first-time movie shot on incredibly and astonishingly low budget, without any of the tricks that people associate with filmmaking nowadays. So they'll look at it. So it stands alone, not only with all of its inadequacies on show, but also with all the win stripped out of it, because none of that stuff has any cultural cachet anymore. So I found that really strange, because I'm really proud of my first movie in the context of what we achieved with it, but I'd never hold it up as this is an example of my filmmaking. You know what I mean? So that I found that really tough. The cultural context disappears. And nowadays, even more so, people search stuff up. Some Charmer has uploaded that movie onto YouTube. It happened quite a lot, and I'd get it taken down, and you just lose the will to do that at some point. So you realize it's not only is it there with all its wins removed because all that context is gone, but it's more freely available than it ever was before, without any of that context, which does make it look, as I say, standing alone now, it looks like, oh right, okay, that's the kind of movie that I make.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that. And also, back in the day, this is going to turn into an old man's podcast.
Oh yeah,
back in the day,
gonna turn into one.
Too late. Back in the day, obviously, it would come out on DVD. You'd have extras on there. People would be able to see the struggle that went into making the film, and it wouldn't be expected to be quite so polished as maybe stuff now is. Even though a lot of stuff does get released that just looks shonky and kind of badly put together, but the stuff that looks quality, obviously it retains that, whereas our stuff, I guess, way back in the past, it does, it is weird how, especially if you Google somebody,
yes,
your earlier films will be the first things that come up, and they're not a reflection at all. You think how different we both are 20 years later, not a reflection of us whatsoever.
No, I mean, IMDb is determined that what it wants to throw up as the video associated with my name is a rough trailer for my second movie.
Nice.
And it feels like the only way I can stop that happening is to pay for IMDb Pro, which does feel a little, so then you can choose what video represents you. And it's like, if you kind of go, oh no, I don't want that one, I want that one. They're like, yeah, fine. Okay, well, it's money. And then you stop paying the fee and it's like, well, we'll put your second movie trailer back up. And it's like, oh man.
yeah, agreed on that one. Okay, my next one, my number 3, is that everybody, and I'm prepared to be convinced otherwise on this, with people you've met, but everybody is terrible at networking. So you kind of need to take hold of that and use it to your advantage. So I've never met anyone who's been so the people who are good at networking, sometimes there's not a lot of substance to them. So they're good at networking, but they've got nothing to offer, got nothing to tell you about, nothing kind of collaborative. They're not really interested in you. So all right, maybe I'll change mine slightly. The people who are good at networking usually haven't got a lot of projects to show you. And filmmakers, we are terrible at networking because we sort of fall into two camps from people I've met. One is people who are so self-conscious that they're really uncomfortable doing it because it does feel really weird randomly approaching someone and starting to talk to them. The other camp of people seem convinced that everybody wants to know about their project and that they need to, vomit all the information about their project onto someone, if only to prove that they're worthy of this networking
Yeah.
interaction. And there's no chill there. Now, I say this as someone who I probably don't do as much networking as I've done in the past, haven't been to Cannes for a little while, and that is kind of the epicenter of
The
networking,
schmooze
the
center of the
schmooze center of the
world.
world, where you do meet a kind of big scale of different people with different networking skills. Um, but yeah, maybe the people who are good at networking, and I mean actually good at connecting with you, having a reasonable conversation, maybe I haven't counted that as networking. Maybe it's
Mm.
just the word networking. What's your experience of networking?
Yeah, I think you're quite right actually in that maybe the bits that are the most effective networking are therefore the bits that we wouldn't file that way. It just feels more like hanging out or making friends or something along those lines. Because at those kind of oh man, those kind of events where you stand there and then someone comes up and barks at you for 10 minutes
Mm,
about and it's like I and I understand the idea where people are just kind of going, oh, this may be my only opportunity to just speak to anybody, but anybody within this room.
mm,
Okay, so I'm going to go and I'm going to spiel my spiel to as many people in this room as I possibly can, because this might be my only opportunity, and it only takes one of them to come off. And I understand that mentality, but the approach where someone comes up and it's like Mrs. Doyle with tea on Father Ted. Oh, go on, oh, go on, oh, go on, and
mm,
it's like go away. You know, if someone just comes up and just pitches at you,
mm.
that's awful. But then again, I'm sometimes way too reticent, and I will go and I will talk to someone where there could be potentially a healthy collaboration on some form or another, and I can chat to them for like 4 hours. If you're whatever kind of event it is, if it's at a festival or something like that, and you can kind of get those people where you end up hanging out with them for a whole day.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, I'll go home on the train and go, yeah, I probably should have mentioned that actually, I had a project that would have worked perfectly to dovetail with what their company's doing or whatever it is. And so I can sometimes go completely the other way. So it's an ongoing nightmare. But yeah, I think sometimes it does happen really nicely and organically, but I can't do those events, man, where people just come up and bark at you. And then
Yeah.
you're kind of expected to bark back at them a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it is a tough one, and I've done it myself. I've probably over uh explained stuff to people because you are, especially somewhere like Cannes, you're kind of like, I need to convince this person that I'm the real
Yeah.
deal. I'm actually making films, and these are the films, and I'm really excited about them. Blah, blah, blah. So yeah, is that line is hard to find, and I think maybe what happened is people use the word networking. It kind of feels like a businessy sort of business
Yeah.
thing, which puts it into a different category that people aren't comfortable with. Whereas, I guess if you're going to go somewhere like Cannes, you're going to go to a networking event, you've got to just treat it like it's a party, like it's a like a not don't get wasted, but treat it like it's a kind of an evening party and you're just kind of walking around chatting to people. Easier said than done, though. Um, what have you got next?
Okay. I don't know if you've read a book called Enshittification by Cory Doctorow,
I
but
haven't.
it's brilliant and it's the
Yeah.
best thing I've read this year. But it's one of these books that actually applies on a load of different levels. And so I'm using Cory Doctorow's term, which is that enshittification across the internet and across platforms means that this year's strategies to make money will not work next year. Where unfortunately you'll suddenly get something where you go, oh, actually, there's a new way of actually plugging my work, and or a new streaming platform or whatever it will be. And because initially when these things open up, they are appealing to the public or appealing to initial kind of interaction, and then they shift to appealing to their advertisers, and then they shift to appealing to their shareholders. So you will get further and further and further squeezed. So the platform takes off, the platform makes money, and then suddenly you no longer do. There are streaming platforms where they popped up and I thought, wow, this is it. This is solving all of my problems. And then it just wasn't. It was very, very soon something that I went from thinking this will be the solution to all my problems being, oh no, it's just another problem. It's just more paperwork that's going to, give me 30 cents or whatever it is. And yeah, so because of the way that the internet works, where initially promising platforms change their priorities, and the book's amazing. I really recommend it. But it does mean that if you go, hey, this has worked for my movie, it will not work for your next one, and you'll be back to square one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that also speaks to the sheer volume of platforms,
Yes, oh,
and not
completely.
only streaming platforms, social media platforms, and kind of that's a career in itself and a job in itself is to figure out how all of that stuff works and how best to speak to your audience. Okay, so my next one is going to be that locations matter more than equipment. So something that I often say that often comes up is people can get obsessed with equipment. I need this camera. I've got to shoot it
Oh,
on
yeah,
this. I need these lenses. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. It's got to look a certain way. They've put all of their effort into equipment. Sometimes the other things get neglected, like performance, and actual directing. But what's way more important than getting your equipment sorted is getting your locations sorted, because your
absolutely.
locations will define how smooth your film will be made. They could be the thing that just makes your life easier, makes you enjoy the shoot. They could be the absolute bane of your life. Um, how do you feel about that? And has a location ever screwed you over or kind of saved your uh
Oh, yeah, I mean the best one I ever did with that, that first movie. I mean, all of this stuff's going way way back, isn't
mm,
it? But yeah, my first movie, we built sets and then we never properly decorated them. So basically, we built loads of blank walls, which looking back on it, it's like that's a special sort of madness. So we still had people standing against blank walls, just walls that we built.
nice, nice.
So yeah, it was the most expensive way of filming people against blank walls I could ever think of. Um, but then for my third movie, so that don't do that.
Don't do that.
But my third movie, we got a location that was really, really expensive and was a huge, 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 huge chunk of the budget, and we could only afford it for 3 days. So we rehearsed the living crap out of everybody and then shot it with available light in this fantastic location. We shot about 80% of the feature in 3 days, which again, I don't particularly recommend, but in terms of how much more expensive that movie looked like than my first movie, and when in fact they had almost exactly the same budget,
Mhm.
it looked 10 times more expensive. So yeah, the money, all the money that goes on locations, even if if you can blag them for free, blag them for free. I recommend do the Rodriguez list thing, work out where you can get into for free and include all of those locations. But even if you do have to reach into your pocket, if you're thinking, oh shit, man, it's however much per day, it's worth it. It really, really is worth it. It's almost a star, and it's almost, it ups the production value so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember shooting Bane, which
Hmm.
was a set we'd built with lighting built into it. And God, that saved a lot of time. So there was
Yeah.
no tweaking lights, moving lights
I
around. It
love
was
that
all
set for
built
Bane. I think it
in.
looks really cool.
Yeah, and it meant that you could 100% concentrate on your performance and your camera moves, which I absolutely love. Apocalypse Box, that's pretty much all in one location, in the warm. It was air conditioned, there, which we'd love at the moment. There were seats everywhere for people to sit and watch. Wow, that's what I want. Cut to a year from now, me shooting something in the woods with nowhere to sit in the freezing cold. Um,
We don't
yes,
learn, do we?
no,
We
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 don't learn.
don't
We
learn.
don't.
We
You
don't
sort of
learn
go
from
in a
our wins or
cycle.
our losses.
Yes, yes, we don't learn. Cool. What have you got next?
Okay. This is a dark one. If you want to make a movie, you probably have main character syndrome. Most of the collaborators you attract will probably have it too.
Okay, tell me more.
I I think I think we need a little bit of healthy main character syndrome, otherwise we'd never actually make anything. So we tend to view the world as some narrative where we're kind of going, right, I am making this movie, I am, and then I will collaborate with other people, and we are. But in the broader scheme of things, think people are very focused on that. They look at the narrative. It's very very hard to break off and look at the narrative as being, Sorry, my coffee maker's just making weird
I
noises. I
can't
don't know
hear
if
it. I
that's
can't hear
you
it.
can't.
No,
It was worth
filtering.
it me plugging in a good microphone. Um, but yeah, so I think it's very hard. There's something about the mentality that is required for you to have the sheer brass balls to go, I'm going to go and make a film. And then all the other people that come to it, they need an element of, I am going to go and star in a film. And so, you need all of that sort of thing. It's not a diss on people,
Mm,
but that, unfortunately, that same personality trait that's the driving thing that drives people to get involved can mean that nobody has any perspective about other people's roles, about other people's situations, and it can lead to misunderstandings galore. It's incredibly the people that you most need to collaborate with, you need people with a massive skill set, ideally one that's not yours as well,
mm.
which is another thing. I said before, we're sometimes driven to collaborate most with the people that have a skill set that's almost the same as ours. And the one that's the same as ours is the least bloody use out of
Yeah.
every skill set out there, because that's the stuff we can do. The people we need to collaborate with are people with a different skill set, but that same main character syndrome. And they're probably all sitting there going, well, he can't do that. I can do this. I can do this. They can't do that. And it can just lead to so much misunderstanding, because I think it means that you get ego, and again, I don't use egos as a derogatory term now. Again, you need it. That
Mm.
same drive that you need to get the projects going and the same drive that other people have to get involved with those projects can sometimes just end up with everybody tripping over everybody's feet, endless misunderstandings, and your biggest strength can be your Achilles heel.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to cover those things off from both sides, I'd say at the beginning, you need that, like you say, you need that main character energy, and you've got to channel that into not being embarrassed about talking about your film,
Yes,
especially if it's your
totally.
first one, because that self-consciousness, I'm a film director, I've written a script. You feel like you're not really the person who's doing that, or you feel like you don't earned it. So it's main character energy to do that. But then when you get on set, you have got to acquiesce to the person with the skills in that particular department. But
Yeah,
also, like you say, the understanding, if you can keep your job role very clear as to this
yeah.
is my lane, that's your lane.
Oh God, job role bleed is a
Yeah,
killer.
if you can keep that clear, then it's very easy to have that conversation and keep that power dynamic clear as well, because there needs to be a little bit of a sort of decisions go up, decisions come down, so things get
Yeah,
made. But yeah, if that gets crossed over, oh, it can be chaos. Um, so yeah, like that one a lot. But it sort of leads into my next one, which is I'm not sure how to phrase this without being rude, but Laura will get me to bleep this. But
It's-
if you're producing a film, you're going to have to eat a lot of dog shit sandwiches, right?
Mm,
Now, I've said this before, but not everything's your fault, but everything is your responsibility. And unfortunately, that means if someone's being a pain in the ass, whether that be an actor, crew member, or somebody who said, yeah, you can use the location, and something's got knocked over or whatever, you're going to have to be the person who goes in there, smiles, calms the situation down, even if there's a level of injustice that you in your soul hurts you, you're going to have to just ignore that, because
yeah,
the only way the film gets made is if there's at least one person. Even better if there's a couple of you. It's easier in a team if you're kind of tag teaming, and I think me and Laura have done that before, where I've occasionally I just go, I cannot have this discussion, I can't do it, and she's
yeah,
taken over for me, thank God. But most of the time, you've got to be the person who eats it and who just absorbs it, but also doesn't then express that energy out on anyone else. So you've got to be able to just absorb it and just think, this is for the sake of the film. I'll take it. Doesn't matter. This doesn't affect me as long as the film gets made, as long as this shot gets taken, as long as this scene gets finished, then this sandwich is worth eating. So how many of
yeah.
those sandwiches have you eaten over the years?
I think that point where you, like as you say, where you have to actually step away. I think significantly looking back in 20 odd years, I think there was only once where
Really?
once and then one borderline one
Mm.
where I think the borderline one was also just overwork. It
Mm.
wasn't so much the situation. We shot two features back to back one summer. It was a really, really hot summer. We had like 3 days gap in between, and so we were just going, and we got about two-thirds of the way through the second feature, and I had one bit where my brain just goes, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. And I
Yeah.
can still remember just stood there with like 1,000 yard stare, just going,
Mm.
yeah, broken myself. So that one has cropped up. But yeah, I think there's only been one occasion where I've absented myself off set because I
Yeah.
just, as you say, could not. I could not have those conversations at that point. And it's really, I think from a mental health point of view, it's really, really important. If you see any of those things on the horizon, it's probably better if you, as you say, if you have a collaborator that you're able to lean on or whatever, to be able to have that little word and go, I just can't right
Mm.
now. So that you can cover that and it doesn't become an incident that's visible.
Yeah.
Because ultimately you do end up carrying the responsibility for the vibe.
Yeah. And you do. You're very responsible for the vibe. And you do that 1,000 yard stare thing. Had that a couple of times. But I think that's a safety mechanism in your brain. Your
Yeah.
brain's just going, chill out. I'm not going to give you any new information now. I'm just going to leave you to just kind of in nothingness for a minute, especially if you're super exhausted and you've been working really long days. So yeah, I think that's there to protect you. But yeah, similar to you, I've only had one situation on the last couple of movies where I just can't. I know if I address the situation, I'll do it with anger,
Yes.
and in a really negative way. So I just had to say I can't do it. And then Laura steps in for me, thank God. Um, cool. Was that my one or was that your one? That was
That was your one.
my one. Dog shit sandwich. Cool. Right. What have you got next? What have you got? Is this number four or number five?
So this is number five.
Number five. Okay. What's your last
Yes.
one?
Okay. Now this is what, yeah, again, I'm worrying about the wording of this that might be, okay, you have to
Yeah.
have a bulletproof front for when your movie comes out. Everything is wonderful, everything is successful, everything is fantastic. That bulletproof front will make any collaborators assume that you are making money. And that is a really difficult situation. Because I mean, I remember many, many years ago, before I was ever involved in the film industry, I remember many years ago reading an interview in Empire with a director who just had a big cinema release. It was one of the big hits of the year. And they ran this big interview with him, Empire. And then the final bit was he bummed the bus fare home off our interviewer. And they put it in the interview.
Oh.
Um, and I was just thinking, that can't be right.
Mm.
This is like one of the big cinema smashes of the year. And then when you're in the industry, you go, oh no, yeah, no, I completely believe that. But that awkward, that facade where you can't go out there and go, yeah, this film's doing terribly, or we haven't been able to get a distributor for it, or whatever it is, it's underperforming, it's whatever. That's not part of what you can send out to the world. Otherwise, your film, you're going to set yourself up to fail.
Yeah.
But if you're out there going, it's brilliant, it's everywhere, everybody loves it, it's doing amazingly, then anybody who you've signed a back end for or whatever might be going, excuse me, I thought this movie, and in fact you're there going, I'm 6 years deep in this, I can't even afford to pay my bank fees of every month off with how much this is bringing in off streaming, and that's a really difficult thing, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, agree with that. It is tough because you are in two you're sort of two people, aren't you?
Yeah,
You're the realist who's kind of watching this happen real time. And in the past it's been whether that's getting screwed over by a sales agent, but on paper it looks really good. It's coming out in
yeah,
5, 6, 7, 8 countries.
yeah,
Um, and you are having to put on front, you're having to post on social media, oh, this
yeah,
is coming out, oh, we're doing this now, we're showing in this festival, we're screening here. Whereas behind closed doors, the wheels have fallen off, you've
yeah.
run out of money, and you don't quite know how to tell your cast and crew the true story of what's happening. So yeah, dealing
Because
with
then they
that
won't
can be
believe you.
tough.
I mean,
No,
there is that risk as well. It's like, and then you're like, that bastard was telling us it's not making any money. And then it's like, wow, now I've got the worst of three worlds. It's like my facade's fallen. I've had to, you're being honest with people, and then they think you're lying. So you've got like triple jeopardy on that, which is my light just changed color again, didn't it?
It did when you got angry. That's what happens.
There we go. Back to blue. That's sexier. But yeah, so I think that it's really complicated, and particularly if you've got loads and loads of people involved with it. It's even if you tell your 3, 4, 5 main collaborators, that's again not a message that you're going to be sending out to someone who did a day on it or something like that. You're not going to go, it's doing disastrously, isn't really a message that you want to be sending out. But otherwise, people think that that you're about to go and buy a Lamborghini next week.
Cigars and fur coats. That's what I always think of. But yeah, you're right. It's a difficult one. And it's you've got to stay positive, and there's a little bit of manifestation in there of kind of willing it to everything to be okay. I think that's what I do. I'm kind of, if I can convince myself that the film's going to be a success, if I can convince myself I'll get it into these places, then I will. If I just doom and gloom it, then obviously it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, as you say, we had one movie that got a cinema release in one country, came out in so many territories. I've got a million DVDs of it dubbed into different languages, all that sort of thing. Back when DVD was king, and for the entire 10 years that film was signed with that distributor, my company received not one single penny. And so for anybody that had collaborated on that movie, they'd all be going, Pat must be doing all right off it. It's everywhere. It's difficult.
Yeah, difficult. Okay.
Upbeat.
I'm trying to think. Maybe I should change mine to an upbeat one. Yes. Okay. So the one I was going to say, I'll say it very quickly, and then I'll give you an upbeat one to finish with. The one I was going to say was around you having to do your homework. You can't wing it. Even if you want to be the sort of director who turns up and decides on the day where to put the camera, you still need to have done your research and know exactly why on the day you can be goosey-loosey and move things around. So you can't turn up without a plan. You need either a book or something. You need to have done it the night before. You've got to do your homework. You can't just wing it.
Man, this is what I've been doing wrong all
There you go. Wisdom.
If only we'd had this conversation. Have you spent 20 years going, Pat, you can't just
looking at him going, he hasn't even got a book. He's just making it up. Yeah, maybe. No, I've worked with people in the past who do wing it.
It's me, isn't it? Yeah.
No, it's not you. It's not you. But it gives me anxiety, and also and I've tried to do it before. And what happens is someone asks you a question, and you genuinely just don't know the answer because you've not done the homework. You're sort of, and then you make something up, and then what you do is rubbish, and you shoot it, and it doesn't end up in the film anyway. So yeah, my semi-neggy one was do your homework, and I guess the final hard truth. Is this the hard truth now, making it a positive, is that there is nothing better than being on a film set. Absolutely nothing better than writing a script, spending a year writing it, getting really excited about all of these characters, and then watching actors perform it and watch it being captured on that camera onto that hard drive or whatever it is, and knowing that something that's come from your head is now exists in the world as a thing. Obviously, there are times when that doesn't quite look and sound exactly how you want it to, which is fine. But the sheer fact that you've come up with something and you've made it reality is something that is amazing. And you should never become jaded to that, or just treat a day on set like, we've got to this is a boring scene, we've got to shoot. You've got to always be excited about making your film.
I think that's absolutely right. And I mean, for all, it's sort of the setup of this particular conversation that it's bound to be a bit whingy.
Yeah.
Because it's hard truths and it's stuff like that. And at the end of the day, every single thing that I've said and all the points that you've rightly made as well, at the end of the day, we do this because we love it and we get something out of it. And so despite all the context collapse, despite all the worries with getting money out of distributors and all of that sort of thing, despite all of these things and the main character syndrome, everything, it's worth it. On some level, there is something incredible. There is some alchemy. There is some magic that we can't find
in our lives
than on a cold, drafty film set.
Amen.